meeting between SFPD and some local merchants on Taraval, and we had good discussions about what was happening on Taraval and how we in SFPD can definitely partner and be able to protect and watch over our streets. And I thought that Captain Lozada was very helpful and very engaging. And I'd like to offer him the floor with regarding some recent issues and also to introduce himself. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks, Albert. So just a quick little bit about myself. This is my 21st year with the police department. I've actually worked here at Taraval Station as a patrol officer back in 2003. So from 2003 to 2008, I was a patrol officer, promoted out, went to Ingleside Station as a sergeant, promoted out of Ingleside to Bayview Station as a lieutenant, spent a couple of years there, a couple of years as a lieutenant at the police academy, and then I've come back home. Considered Taraval one of my first homes. I'd been here for 5 years, so grew roots here. So I'm glad to be back, and really here to support not only my officers, but also support the community. So Albert, thanks for having me. That being said, I'll dive right in with the information that I have. So to start off with, I'll just give you a couple of crime stats that we've had for the month of September. So on our auto boost in the Parkside, we have about 8 reported in the Parkside of auto boost. So auto boost would be the same as an auto break-in, right? Someone had their vehicle window smashed and an item taken from their car, something to that effect. That would be an auto boost. As far as robberies reported within the month of September, I'm actually very happy to say that we haven't had a single robbery reported in Parkside during the month of September. And just a little bit about robberies. For the purposes of reporting, what a robbery is going to be in this case is someone who has had their property taken through force or fear, right? So typically what that looks like is someone would have their iPhone taken from them as they're walking down the street, or maybe robbed at gunpoint on the street. That's how we would classify a robbery. And then more importantly, I think this really relates to all the merchants are the burglaries, right? So we have had 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have had 6 burglaries reported in the Parkside, and 4 of those actually belong to businesses, right? So we did during the 9th and the 10th, we had 4 break-ins right along Taraval, 2 on the 1100 block, 1 on the 1000 block, and 1 on the 400 block. The latter being probably the most concerning, because not only was the business broken into, but a fire was set, and there were people in the building. Thankfully, the fire was put out before it caused any injury to the people that were in the building, and the damage to the business itself and the building itself was quite substantial, and I know the business is struggling to get back on their feet, after the fire and whatnot. The last 3, the 2 on the 1100 block and the 1 on the 1000 block, those ones, they were all window smash break-ins, right? So the suspect used a rock or heavy item to break the windows to gain entry into the business, and then he pretty much went, I could say he, because we do have a strong lead, went directly to the cash registers, either took the register or took money out of the register. It appears they're all linked. We're not 100% certain with the 400 block. It seems highly likely due to the time and the location. But nonetheless, we do have some very strong leads. No arrests have been made at this point, but we do have some very strong leads. And our burglary unit is doing the follow-up. The one on the 400 block, actually, our arson unit is doing a follow-up because it did involve the intentional lighting of a fire, which makes that an arson, which elevates that the severity of the crime itself. Therefore, it goes to our arson. So, I mean, I'm positive to say that we do have some very strong leads, and really it's just a matter of time for our burglary unit to narrow it down and make an arrest in the case. And then once we do, I'll be very happy to share that with the group, because that'll be a good thing for everybody. And then we did have the last incident. So it was at Foam Tea House. That was on the 1700 block at Taraval. It happened on the 19th, sometime between the 18th and the 19th. Initially, it was believed that the business window had been shot out, possibly with a firearm. Evidence at the scene it indicates that a firearm had not been utilized. And the reason we say that is because it was a double pane glass, and the first pane had broken and the second pane had not. Had it been shot at with a firearm, that projectile, the bullet from that firearm would have traveled through both panes, and you would have at the very least had a bullet hole in that second pane, and there wasn't one. So we're confident it wasn't a bullet, but nonetheless, it is a vandalism. There seems to be a tie or a possible link to a similar type of event that happened over on Irving Street. We're looking at surveillance videos to try to make a tie and then possibly identify a suspect. I'm going to use a surveillance video really as a segue into this next part that I want to talk about. But before I do that, I just want to back up that in all the burglaries that I talked about on the 1000 block, 1100 block, and 400 block at Taraval, the identification of the suspect is made, or is going to be made, because we had very excellent video, surveillance video. Moving forward, one of the items here on the agenda, I believe, was things merchants can do to protect themselves and others. And there's really two things, right? Obviously, we would love to prevent the crime from occurring. And then secondly, if the crime does occur, the business owners and the residents would like those who were responsible for those crimes to be accountable. And the way for the San Francisco Police Department to do that is through evidence, and typically video evidence is the best way to help us with that. We have been successful pulling forensic evidence, including DNA and fingerprints and whatnot. But video evidence is it's faster. Obtaining DNA, obtaining fingerprints takes a little bit of time. But with that video evidence, it really gives us an opportunity to see who that suspect is right away and really start to narrow down, not narrow down, but acquire some very strong and good leads. So into that, the part about video that I wanted to mention as far as what merchants can do to protect themselves. And Albert, I think you and I had talked about this. This is really a great opportunity to look at your surveillance system, like actually look at the view and the perspective of the cameras, make sure that the cameras are operating properly, make sure the batteries, if they're battery powered, that the batteries are all charged up and ready to go, make sure the cameras are clean. After the last couple of weeks at the beginning of September with all the ash and the dirt in the air, it's possible that those outdoor cameras could have been covered or covered with debris and dirt. So we want to make sure that those are clean. And then I mentioned perspective. And what I mean by that is you want to make sure those cameras are pointed at a position that is going to afford the highest possibility of getting a good look at the suspect or suspects. So if you have several cameras, or really just one door, if I can digress just a bit, when I was an investigator doing residential burglaries, the placement of the cameras was really key. So really something that's, especially if you have a business, typically the suspects are going to enter in through the front doors. So you'd want to have a good view of that front door. You don't want to have it too far away that they look about that big, right? I'd say maybe somewhere like halfway the distance of the store, but pointed at the door, and you don't want to have it too high up. If it's too high up, it's a very awkward perspective because we usually don't look at people from 45 degrees up, 5 feet in the air, right? We usually see people from this perspective. So those are just things to consider. You don't want to have it too high and you don't want to have it too far back. So if you're limited, at least have one with at the door. And if you have additional cameras, exterior cameras are fantastic. And with those, what you'd want to do is have them looking up and down your business street. Looking straight out the business store is great, but if a suspect were to run by the store or a car were to drive by, that's really all you're going to see is that very quick as it drives by. Having it a perspective where it's looking down the street, it helps it easier. It makes it easier for us to identify, clothing, gait, how people run or walk, right? The walking gait, and then any kind of identifying marks on the vehicles if they are using cars. So again, that's really the best thing that we can do. Obviously, prevention is the key, but unfortunately, the crimes do occur, and then that we will burden that weight in making things right for the community and identifying those that are responsible for these crimes. And we're going to do that through that physical evidence and really video surveillance, or surveillance video is going to be the key. And I do have some tips I can offer for garage door burglaries. But I don't know, Albert, would you like me to delve into that? Do I have enough time?
You know what? I would extend the time. It's important enough. And I just talked to Sunset Glass, who's been doing a lot of those garage door
great.
repairs.
So we have been seeing an uptick in residential burglaries involving suspects accessing the homes or the businesses via the garage doors. If you don't subscribe to our newsletter, trying to think of the best way we can do this. Albert, if you have everyone's email, maybe if they can email Albert and then ask to be included in our newsletter, and then Albert, you can get that information to me and I can include you. And the reason why I'm saying this is because this specific information about the garage doors is included in the newsletter. And so let me see, I don't know if you can see that. It might be kind of hard to see. Let's see. I wish I could share a screen, but I didn't know if we had that. So
I do. Hang on there, Captain Lozada. Let me see. I'm gonna make you a co-host really quick right now, and I think that should allow you to share your screen, I believe.
Oh, wonderful. Give me 1 second to pull up that.
Jessica, I was just thinking that with Captain Lozada's newsletter, we can incorporate some of that into our POPs newsletter.
Yeah, that's something that we're going to be doing. Captain Lozada, we would be interested in, if there's any follow-up questions that we might have, can we email you or contact you in any way?
Oh, absolutely. Is that sharing?
Yeah, I see it. It's up.
Oh, wonderful. And I'll tell you what, there's a chat link here, or a Zoom group chat. Let me type in my email.
Yeah, I've been seeing this. This has been happening all over town.
There you go. I just sent my email through the Zoom group chat. And then what I'll do is I'll also include the link for the newsletter. So you can click on the link for the newsletter, and then you can request to be added to it. So what we're looking at here is thieves can break into locked garages with just a coat hanger. And I'm sorry, I'm not an expert when it comes to the nomenclature of what we're looking at. But more or less, everyone's garage door has an emergency latch or a release.
Yep.
And what thieves can do or do, or how they commit it is they'll basically get a hanger or some type of a hook, and they'll go through the top of the garage door, and then they'll use that hook to grab on to I'm circling it here with the cursor onto that emergency latch, and then they'll pull on it, and it'll disengage, and then your door is essentially unlocked. And then it's just a matter of rolling the door up, and they have access to your garage. So what you can do is if you can try taping it, right? So my cursor is here on the third photo. You can just basically tape that string or that piece of wire onto your this, I don't know what this would be called here. Basically tape it up so it cannot be disengaged. And then that's a great way to just prevent that from occurring. I mean, ultimately, if someone really wants to get into your garage door, they could find other ways. But it's a risk reward. Most criminals are looking for the easy target. And if they attempt this and it's not working, well, then they're just going to go to another residence that is easier than the one they're trying to get into. And that's just based off of my experience as an investigator. And then what I'll do as well is, all right, here's the link. There you go. There's the link for the newsletter as well. So you have the link for that. So I don't know if it went through.
If you want to, in either case, Captain Lozada, I mean, if you want to just email that to me, the link, and I can. Oh, there it is. Okay.
You know what it is? I have a wireless keyboard, and it keeps disconnecting. I don't know what it is. It keeps disconnecting, so I got to get that fixed.
That's a long link, but if you want to send me that to my email too, that would be great.
Absolutely, I'll do that.
You cut and paste that one. Okay, well, thank you, Captain Lozada, very much for that. I just want to add that what I did, I got a little panicky myself just because I saw that and it was really close to home that I have a glass front door, I have glass display windows. And so what I did was I looked at my insurance to see how much my deductibles are in case of an incident like this. And if there's, you might want to just review your policies for something like this, just in case. I know that those garage door glass is going to be about $1,000 to $1,500. I'm going to have mine upgraded to laminated, so I'm just going to take the precaution. I just hate seeing bars on windows. It just makes things look kind of, slummy and stuff. It looks just looks more uninviting. So for myself, I'm going with laminated glass on my display windows. So, and then the other thing too was alarm systems. Definitely check your alarm systems, have them upgraded if you need to, or have new ones installed. And then also put the stickers that say you do have an alarm system on your windows, because again, Captain Lozada is absolutely correct. They're looking for easy targets, and if they're going to have a blaring klaxon going off in the middle of the night, they're going to seek easier rewards. So that's just what I want to add for my 2 cents.
And Albert, and I don't mean to keep piggybacking on things, but that you brought up 2 great points that I forgot to mention. Absolutely, an alarm system is a fantastic deterrent. It's very rare. Again, during my experience as an investigator, I never investigated a residential burglary where the alarm had been tripped and the house had been burgled, right? Because they're not going to go into your residence. I'm not saying they won't, but they're less likely to go into your residence knowing that at some point the police are going to be showing up. So they don't want to take that risk, they being the criminals. And then the second, on the laminate glass, I've actually done both. Same thing on my home. I didn't want to get bars on the house, but I wanted to have an extra layer of protection. And there's companies out there where you can do it yourself, or you can pay them to do it, and they'll install about a 3 to 5 millimeter film of laminate on your residential glass. And what that does is it just makes it that much harder for someone to break into your home or whatever it is, or either through your windows or on your garage door or on your front door. Right? Just makes it harder.
All right. I'm glad we're in agreement. Okay, cool. Thank you, Captain Lozada. Okay.
Okay, Albert. Albert,
Yes,
it's Eileen. Could I
Hi.
ask a quick question of the captain?
please.
It's about catalytic converter thefts. I live on the 2000 block of 22nd Avenue. Mine was stolen in March. My neighbors was stolen in August. They're both Priuses. Are this just isolated, or is this catalytic converter kind of, what's going on now?
You're not isolated. You unfortunately fell victim to what we're seeing as a huge spike in catalytic converter thefts, not only in San Francisco but really throughout the state. And the big driver, the big push behind the catalytic thefts increasing is the amount of precious metal that is obtained out of the catalytic converters. It's high enough. Again, risk versus reward. It's a very low risk to go under a car, cut off the catalytic converters, and then drive off, and then you get a very steep reward from the precious metal that's contained in that. So unfortunately, you did fall victim to that. That's occurring not only in the city but in the state. There were some arrests made back in it was either May or June. I apologize for not knowing the month. There were some arrests made, and fortunately, after those arrests were made, we did see a decrease in catalytic converters. But again, we are starting to see a slow uptick from where we were when we had the decrease.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We also have a quick question from Paula in the chat asking, where do we get the alarm stickers from?
From the alarm company. That's if you had it installed. But actually, I have. Okay, I'm tooting my own horn here, but I have alarm stickers. They're like generic alarm stickers that I sell at the store. Okay. All right. I'm going to move along because we're running a little bit behind here. I'd like to introduce Sin Wang. She's been with us before, running for DCCC last time, and now she's speaking to us about Proposition H. Sin, would you like to? I offer you the floor, and I also made you co-host so you can show your.
Oh, great. Perfect. Thank you so much, Albert. Hi, everyone. It's so great to be able to chat with all my fellow small business owners out here in the sunset. I'm chatting. I wanted to share with you something tonight that I think is going to be really welcome news, a very exciting development for all of us who know how hard it is to do business in San Francisco. As I mentioned earlier, I'm in the insurance business. I insure more than 1,000 restaurants in the Bay Area. And so I know personally that my clients take between months and sometimes years to get a permit approved by the city of San Francisco. And before you can even apply for a permit, you have to first have a lease and insurance in place. So upfront, that sometimes means hundreds of thousands of dollars. The great news is that Mayor Breed put on the ballot this ballot that's coming up for this November 3rd election, Prop H. It's called Save Our Small Businesses. In doing so, Mayor Breed is trying to push forward two priorities. One, eliminate bureaucracy in permitting and inspections for small businesses and modernize zoning. Let me share my screen now. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let me summarize it very quickly. It does three main things. One, it streamlines permitting down to 30 days. So the average right now is between 10 and 12 months in San Francisco, which is one of the worst in the country. So this would be 30 days as long as it's a primary use within your zoning area. So if you're in an area zoned for retail, for restaurants, for whatever it might be, and it's in your zoning code for that area, 30 days. Right now in the city, you would have, there's sequential approvals. So it means like before your permit can even be reviewed by one department, it has to finish being reviewed by another department. So at first have to go through building for many, many months. Then when building is done, then planning here. Right now it can all be done at the same time. And the second part is it eliminates neighborhood noticing for principal uses allowed by zoning. That currently takes another 6 months in the process. So right away, that really speeds up opening a business, not just opening a business, but expanding your business. Let's say you have a bar, but you're not able to operate much as a bar, and you want to have retail, and you want to have some type of retail, then that's another change of use that, you know, you could potentially take advantage of if Prop H passes. Lastly, it's going to bring more foot traffic to commercial corridors, because right now professional services, there are certain types of businesses in the code that can only operate on the ground floor, and certain ones that can only operate on the second floor. So it makes it easier for those that can only operate on the ground floor to also operate on the second floor, so we can fill some of those vacant storefronts, and also allows nonprofits and arts to operate in ground floor storefronts, which currently they can't do. Let me get into a little bit of the nitty gritty, but I think everyone's gonna like this. There is only a 3-year time limit on Prop H. After that, it depends on the Board of Supervisors to amend or carry it on. Of course, the Board of Supervisors could also do this at any time, but of course, since they haven't, this is why Mayor Breed put it on the ballot. Cultural districts will not be impacted. Of course, we have some set aside cultural districts in San Francisco. There's also a co-working provision. So if there's a cafe or restaurant, there will be allowed to be co-working restaurants now. And then some people have been concerned that bars would then operate as restaurants. 50% of sales must come from food, or each chair must generate $4K in food revenue annually. Luckily, Prop H has very broad support. You can look at the list here of everyone who's supporting it. Our supervisor does. The mayor, actually almost all of the supervisors, save a few. And then here are all the different clubs. Wes and I are both on the board of the United Democratic Club, big supporters. And then here are community leaders as well. I'm proud to represent part of our community on the Entertainment Commission. So lastly, the issue really with Prop H is it's like got a very it's called Save Our Small Businesses, but the description is like zoning reform and permitting reform. So I think a lot of voters are gonna just like have their eyes roll back in their heads and be like, wow, this is very complicated. I think voter awareness of it is pretty low. There's obviously a ton of stuff on the ballot. However, with small businesses being hit this hard by COVID, and for many of us already struggling to survive before the pandemic, I think this is really needed and could be very, very transformational for us as we recover from this public health crisis. I think the small business community is really in an existential crisis. And so we really, really need to get the word out on this. One way is those of you who have storefronts, I have signs. I don't know the best way. If you want to reach out to me, my email's here, sin@wanginns.com. Alternatively, the phone number down there is for Nadia. She's the campaign manager. I would love to give you signs to hang in your storefront. Maybe Albert, I can give you some to put in Great Wall and folks could pick some up. Is that possible? Okay, so I'll come by Great Wall and leave a few with you as well, Albert, but we really need to get the word out. If you can share info about it on Facebook, via email, all those things would be great. I have a social media toolkit that has pre-written templates, so you can just repost it really. And please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're SF Yes on H. I know that Pops can't officially endorse anything, but I feel that this is the most salient thing that could be affecting the small business community in this next election, and could be very, very useful for us. Would love to take questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
Sam, Albert here. I've been dealing with the building department. I'm also a general contractor, and I had my first experience actually going into the new 49 South End as permit center.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, should this pass, when does it take effect? First of all,
that is a great question. I think it's January, but let me double check that.
Okay, because I can say that it looks like things are not very well together at the permit center right now.
Yeah, no, this would be pretty huge. And I think a big part of the holdup there is because there's no there's like no time limit on their review process. If they take
Well,
2
I'm
years,
looking at you saying that it's streamlined to 30 days. Let me just give you an idea of what's going on down there. In order, you have to go down there, and I don't know how long COVID's going to last, but just for people to know, if you guys have any projects, whether it's residential or commercial, if you want to do something and it's over the counter, so that means not even with drawings, okay, just a simple over the counter permit, you have to wait the Friday before the following week because they only allow 50 people per day into the permit center. And so what you do is you wait at 4 p.m. on the DVI website for the tickets to sell out on Eventbrite, and they allow 50 tickets per day, and they open the tickets to be taken at 4 o'clock on the previous Friday, okay, and by 4:30, all 250 tickets for the whole week are gone. So
that sounds like a nightmarish scenario, and one reason why it's so hard to do business in the city. And we're not going to survive if it stays like that. So, yeah, I think this is very needed. I hope y'all can see how this will be of major utility for us. But yeah, Albert, that's a great point. I didn't know it was that bad.
It's bad. It's really bad. And then if you have drawings, I talked to an inspector down there. At the current pace, they said that if you submit drawings today in October, you'll be assigned a project plan checker in February.
Yeah.
So,
not acceptable. Not acceptable.
No, it's not. But I'm just letting you know that's what I see on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
And from a small business perspective, I think this is why we've seen like the San Francisco restaurant scene be taken over by a small handful of restaurant groups. It's because who else has the money to wait that long to be able to open?
I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I do wish this best of success. I do like the plan.
Okay, great. Well, I shared the toolkit with you, Albert and Wes, if you guys don't mind distributing, and I'll bring by some signs. Please get in touch with me if anybody wants to hang one. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Sin. Any other questions for Sin? Okay. All right.
Albert, while we're talking propositions, can I have just 2 minutes?
Well, I'd like to push it a little further down. We have.
Okay, if we have time.
Yes, we have. So first of all, Emily Murase, Dr. Emily Murase, I want to say first, thank you and welcome to coming to our meeting. She just showed up about 10 minutes ago, so I just wanted to acknowledge and say that she's here. You were kind of a last minute add-on to the agenda, but Doug, I don't know how busy, Emily, you are, but I don't know if you need to, would you like to switch or it's okay? Okay, you're muted right now, Emily, by the way.
I have the evening. This is my last Zoom meeting for the day, so I'm happy to wait my turn.
Okay, great. Then we'll go ahead with Doug just to give us an update on our new wonderful Beachside event down at 46.
Yeah, can you give me access to share screen? I just want to show some things.
Sure. Hang on there.
Everyone is an expert on sharing screen.
We're getting better every meeting.
I figured everyone else is sharing. I should share something.
Share some candy. Share some tacos next time, will you?
Yeah.
All right. You're trying.
Okay. Let me see. First things first. So I just wanted to, I'm not sure if everyone knows, but every Sunday until about mid-November, we're doing this little Sunset Mercantile Beachside Taraval open air market. Essentially what it is, it's a way, I mean, obviously to drive some traffic to the merchants that are down there, but it's also a way for us to support some local art. So we do set up, depending on how many sign up, but anywhere from 7 to 10, 11 booths out there that are selling some of the local art. And that's every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. We are doing this in partnership with the Sunset Mercantile. It's really outdoor crafts. We do have live music every Sunday. The Riptide has various bands and various DJs that are played, of course, all social distance. Obviously there's the local merchants there, which is primarily outside dining and a few bars for some cocktails. I want to just show you some pictures. Pictures say 1,000 words. We do also have it's a very, so far been a very relaxed event. It's not too crowded. We actually have staff handing out masks and hand sanitizing before you're entering, and also counting people. But we do have children play areas, pretty basic stuff, but bubbles and hula hoops and small little games that keep your little kids occupied as you kind of search for art. Here's just some examples. There's a merchant that designs their own t-shirts with different San Francisco themes. There's also things like plants. There's also jewelry, postcards. It kind of varies each week. And so far, it's I would say the attendance has been fairly low. So we're definitely trying to get the word out and get more people out there. It's important for us to have our merchants be successful there, the art merchants, in order for us to expand that and get as many merchants out there as we possibly can. And really, that's all I got.
All right. Well, may I add to your advertisement there is that you've got 2 bands coming this Sunday. DJ Rock and Raul, and that's 11 to 3:30, and then 4 to 7 you got the High Tide Trio. So anyway, what are the hours?
It starts at 11 a.m. and it ends at 6.
Nice. I invite all of you to go. It's quite a nice happening over there. Okay, then thanks, Doug, for that.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, just in case, if anybody's interested in renting a booth there, can you say how much the booths are?
Yeah, I don't really control that part. That's the Sunset Mercantile. I don't know exactly the range, but it's somewhere between $50 and $75, I believe, depending on what you want. But Angie from the Sunset Mercantile kind of runs that part of it.
Okay.
But it's really, yeah, it's fairly cost effective. I mean, from what I heard from the merchants out there, like I always look at the jewelry and see how empty it is by the end of the day. So there's one vendor's been out there every time, and she's been selling about half her jewelry there, which is pretty good. So I think that's probably close to $800 to $1,000 she's selling out there. So I think it's been pretty successful for the amount that the fee is.
Okay. Yeah, Grace just chimed in there. Grace Gaza just chimed in that it was $80 for a booth.
Yeah, I think she's lowering that, but I'm not gonna. There's some negotiating room there. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Well, that seems readily affordable.
Yep.
Okay. Well, then thanks, Doug. Any other questions about Beachside, the Beachside event? Okay. Okay. Then moving forward, I'd like to introduce Dr. Emily Murase. She is running for District 7 Supervisor. This year, our current Supervisor, Norman Yee, is termed out, and it's a wide open race. So, Dr. Murase, I leave the floor to you.
Thank you so much, Albert. Hello to Wesley, Jessica, and David, our old friends. I'm Emily Murase, and I want to be your District 7 Supervisor. I was raised in San Francisco and graduated from Lowell with David, class of '83. With my husband, I'm a 15-year homeowner in the Lakeshore neighborhood where we raised our 2 now adult daughters. I served the city for over 20 years under 5 mayors, first as a commissioner and then as director of the Department on the Status of Women. I'm the only candidate who's been elected to office before, twice elected to the school board, including as president. My 3 priorities are public safety and public health. I went to visit Dragon Printing on Taraval shortly after the business was robbed and set on fire. Amazingly, they are open for business. I'm calling for more police foot patrols and expanded crime spotting technology. Secondly, strengthening neighborhoods, reaching out to seniors to make sure they're not isolated and alone. And thirdly, economic growth. In my blueprint for economic recovery, I have 3 specific ideas that I wanted to share with all of you. One, I've been promoting something called subscription dining to provide restaurant owners with a reliable revenue stream where regular customers would sign up. For example, David, at your sandwich shop, they would sign up for a 6-month subscription, maybe $25 or $50 a month, and then you decide what they get on a monthly basis. Maybe it's a certain number of sandwiches or monthly specials, but it provides restaurant owners with that reliable revenue stream. Secondly, virtual commercial corridors. Not every business can maintain a dynamic website, but organize it by neighborhood and really help them do that. And then finally, state tax relief to landlords who can then be flexible with tenants, either business or residential. By the way, I am on record as supporting Prop H. Finally, my motto is to listen and lead for our neighborhoods. District 7 is composed of over 40 distinct neighborhoods. I was on Monterey Boulevard listening to business owners last week, and they don't even have an association. I know SF Pops is like the model association. I hope you will help them get one off the ground. I'm supported by State Treasurer Fiona Ma, Assembly Member Phil Ting, Sheriff Paul Miyamoto, former DA Susie Loftus, former school superintendent Gwen Chan, retired Judge Quentin Kopp, and the Ed Lee Democratic Club. So I'd like to ask for your support in my run for District 7 Supervisor, understanding that you don't make endorsements, but I just did want to come and say hello.
Dr. Murase, I think you'll be fantastic. Thank you.
Team Murase, all the way.
Thank you so much, Josephine. Good to see you, David.
Can I ask, do you have any thoughts of coming out of COVID, like anything that you would offer to, ideas for helping small businesses? Because you do have one very big commercial. I don't know. Do you touch Ocean Avenue too?
Yes, we have Portal, Ocean Avenue, Lakeside Village, Cherville from 19th Avenue East. But I know they're part of your group as well. And 9th and Judah. Also, there's a strip mall in Park Merced. So there are a number of sort of smaller merchant corridors. And I really think SF Pops is a model for how they can be organized. I was really shocked that Monterey, there aren't that many businesses, but they don't talk to each other.
Right. I was just curious if you had ideas of how to support those merchants that have really been hurt really bad. I mean, we're always looking for ideas and solutions, so I'm just seeing what you had in mind.
Yeah, so the subscription model for restaurants, it could also apply to nail salons or hair salons. When you think of a gym membership, like we're paying 3 months, but you're not necessarily using it, but it brings money up front. Gift cards are nice, but they're kind of episodic, right? It's not guaranteed revenue streams. So I really think that this might help solve some of those issues. I'm opposed to new taxes, right? This is not the time for levying taxes on businesses that are struggling to really survive. And small business is really important to the city. When I was a department head, I couldn't buy office supplies from anywhere other than Staples. The city should be buying from Kirkpatrick's, family owned office supplies, they should be buying local. So that's another thing that I would love to see.
That was a discussion I had with the Economic Recovery Task Force, was that and should you make it to get your chair with the Board of Supervisors, I would like to say that it is very hard for we small businesses to become vendors with the city. It really is hard, and not only just to become a qualified vendor on the list, but even to get paid. We did it before decades ago, and we stopped because it was just not worth the trouble. And I think that should be something that should be streamlined, much like Sin Wang talked about streamlining allowing businesses to open. They should also streamline the vendor process with the city, so there's much more of a symbiotic relationship for that.
Yes, way too much red tape. I agree. And I was very interested to hear about your assessment of that new building permits process that was supposed to solve a lot of problems, but clearly it hasn't. We really do need to cut red tape, make it easier for local small businesses to provide services to the city. So I will come to every neighborhood association that will have me. I would like to convene a business council to advise me on legislation. I think it's really important to hear directly from small business owners on where the city is falling down.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Murase. Thank you very much.
So nice to be with you tonight. Thank you.
It's good to meet you too. Okay, and then, the next one is me to talk. This is about the PPE distribution. Before the meeting actually officially started, I was just chatting with some of the officers here that were early at the meeting. And a couple of months ago, I was asked by, I kind of forgot which department it was now, but I think it was within OEWD, asked if POPs would be a distributor of PPE to small businesses that are starting to open up again because the COVID levels were dropping. And so they were allowing more business models to reopen again with certain precautions, of course. And one of the things that was happening was that there was a shortage or there was a lack of knowledge where to get a lot of this PPE so that they could start their businesses. And so I raised my hand. I didn't think a lot of people were going to respond. So I just thought, heck, I'll just do it. And sorry, so I kind of just spearheaded that one on my own, but I picked up the PPE that was distributed by the city and allotted to POPs. I brought it to my store, and within the first week, I got like 10 merchants, and then the following week, another 10 or 15, and so forth. And then very quickly, we exhausted through that supply of PPE that was allotted to us for distribution to small businesses. And I've gotten a second load now, and we still have supply. So any of you, if you need something, please come to my store. We're like north of 50 businesses that we've helped already. And so, and there's distribution nodes all throughout the city. I think there's about 15 or 20, but many of them run out. And then, so these merchants are calling all over town to these distribution nodes, which we are one of. And so when they find out that we still have stuff like face masks or face shields or hand sanitizer, they just rush over. And then I give them a little spiel about who we are. And so I think that we've got a lot of word out about, some of the effective things that POPs has been doing. And then who posed the question, that most obvious question? Was it Margaret? Was that you? Said, are you giving out handouts to these merchants? Or was it Robert? And, I guess I'm not as good a salesman as I would hope to be, but I did not. And I thought that, Jessica and Wesley have put together a wonderful, wonderful, informative newsletter. I thought that is probably one of the best things that we could just like print up, staple together, and hand out with the PPE to all these merchants so they get an idea of, what kind of players POPs are and how we can help people out in the city. So let's earn those first place awards that we got last year. So and keep that going. So anyway, again, I'm gonna put it out to you guys. It's not a secret. It is open to all small businesses. If you need surgical masks or face shields or hand sanitizer, and it's 16-ounce bottles, by the way. They're pretty big. You can please come down to my hardware store, and all you gotta do is just requisition. Just say how much you need. They're asking us to give you enough at least for a 30-day supply for all your employees. Okay, so that was my little bit there. And SFMTA, I'll just go down to the next item if there's no questions.
Hey Albert, this is Doug. I also have some PPE. I have some hand sanitizer left, so if anyone needs a box or two as well. I did the same thing for our Sunday event. I went down to the warehouse, and we're starting to run out a little bit, but we do have some spare hand sanitizer if anyone wants to swing by.
Awesome. Thank you, Doug.
Yep.
Okay, so both ends of Taraval, we have someone supplying PPE. That's awesome. Anybody else with questions? All right. I'll move on to the SFMTA. I don't know if you've traveled up and down Taraval Street lately, but the SFMTA project is moving well along. They, as of September 17th, started taking out the tracks between Sunset Boulevard all the way to 40th Avenue. And that's one straight run. So I believe you cannot even cross Taraval at any point between Sunset Boulevard and 40th Avenue. But what I did notice was that when I drove down the street, it really was not very inviting to want to go down to those businesses that are over at 40th and 41st, which is where Far Out Gallery, North Beach Pizza, you know, CB Liquors, Andy Town, Walgreens are. Because the road is so rough and there's backhoes and trucks and you know, just all sorts of heavy equipment and construction workers everywhere. Can you guys hear me, by the way? I'm getting a lot of side noise here. Okay, I'm just gonna walk over the side. So I'm just wondering, you know, I'm concerned about the merchants down there, such as you, Peter.
It's been it's a disaster, and they've had these huge vehicles going on there. They've been, I mean, our place is shaking. The noise levels are horrible. It's and they haven't even started on the segment that's going to be in front of ours. This is still from 40th East. When that gets kind of done, they'll be doing 40th West, and we're gonna have another. It's really dreadful. It's really horrible, I have to say. You get that?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Albert, are you still there?
Yeah,
Albert might have froze.
Some to the businesses there.
Well, that's very unfortunate. I drove by. It was a lot of heavy equipment. It was hard to even drive by. So I can't imagine that you guys are there all day long, and the residents there is just like,
yeah, it's a disaster.
Sorry, guys. I think I lost some range there. I was wandering around my garage. But anyway, I think that we should have something to kind of bring up against SFMTA with regards to some respect and decency to allow businesses to operate on that street when the time comes, because it will be, I think they're due to finish those tracks on that segment in mid-November. And so, you know, 40th and 41st will be next. And we better say something now so they can plan. So, you know, like, if you please, if you can offer your suggestions, what talking points I can have with SFMTA, and we could bring it up that way. But it's better if I know what you guys really need. I mean, shared streets, we could try, shared spaces, we could try to do something like that. I was also thinking about when the time comes, maybe if they can flip the parking, if they have to operate the tracks, they have to work on the tracks on the north side of Taraval, maybe they could free up the parking on the south side of Taraval so that we have that block, we have that area for, you know, customers to park. Maybe we tell them, hey, they've got to clean and sweep and vacuum all the time while they're doing that construction right there, so that it's a bit more inviting for customers, because who wants to eat there if there's dust flying all over the place? And so, you know, anyway, or limit the time they can jackhammer or something like that. Just like maybe it has to be quiet during the lunch hour. You know, these are just ideas I'm throwing out there, but I'd like to hear you guys chime in so that we can all act as a united front with one voice to talk to SFMTA and make sure that we get all points heard. Okay? right. Eileen Balkin?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Yes, Eileen. Okay, I just want to make sure everyone is aware of what's going on with this interlining between the K and the L. And the thing is, they're saying it's because of COVID-19. That's not true. I have sunshined a document from them, which is about a grant they submitted to the state of California. And that grant was submitted early last year. And it basically said very specifically about the interlining of the K and L. And if anyone's not familiar with it, they've got it so the L will no longer go downtown. You'd have to change at West Portal if you wanted to go downtown, because the K and the L will proceed over to City College and then loop back. So they were planning this well before COVID-19. Now they're also saying that this whole interlining is temporary. This grant they submitted to the state did not mention anything about this being temporary. So I want people to be aware that, you know, what's going to happen, and that this has been in the plans for a while and before COVID, and it's not temporary, at least not according to what the MTA is saying. And even in an interview with the Transit Riders Union, their spokesperson said, oh, well, this has been planned for, well overdue, it's been planned for a while. And I think that's true. And at one time, Barry Hermanson was saying, well, maybe if this is really permanent, maybe it's time to re-envision the street. Yes, they've gone through this planning process for the L-Taraval, and they're doing it west of Sunset, maybe for the segment between Sunset and West Portal. There's something, especially if we need outdoor dining, if we need more parking. Very suggested buses. I'm not going to weigh in one way or another, but I think that if this is the way it's going to go, that maybe this is a chance to put it back on the table. So Albert, that's kind of what I've got to say.
So the L and the K are they're going to interlink.
Yeah, what will happen, basically we're going back 100 years. When the L-Taraval first started in about 1919, we had the 100th anniversary last year. The L went from about 34th to West Portal, and then if you wanted to go downtown, you had to transfer. So basically what the plan is, it's like the K/L. We'll start at the zoo, go to West Portal, and instead of going through the tunnel, it will go take a right-hand turn and head towards City College and then turn around again. So it's a loop. So anybody riding either the K or the L who wants to go downtown would have to transfer at West Portal. So we're actually going back 100 years.
If I remember correctly, something along the lines of this discussion, wasn't it like the idea that they wanted to put 3 cars linked together so they could have more riders going into the tunnel, and then have
that's part of it, yes.
Right, so they're thinking about linking 3 cars and then just have it zip back and forth in the tunnel and not even come out.
Yeah, it's not just the K and the L, it's also the J. The J church would also only be in the neighborhood, and somebody would have to transfer at church and market. For our neighborhood, the only car line that would go into the tunnel would be the N-Judah. So that would be a straight shot.
What about the M? Sorry.
Well, that's what the whole thing is. It's going to be like an MS that goes through the tunnel. What they're saying is that they want to make longer cars, and which is good, but right now there's some limitations. Forest Hill Station will only fit 3 cars. The other stations are all designed for 4 cars. They also have technical problems with what's called their automatic train control system, which they're upgrading, but that's going to be years. So the thing is, my point is that they've known about this for a long time. They haven't really told us. And how long, I have some other documents to go through. And when they were doing the initial planning on the L-Taraval, they were saying, oh, you're going to get from the zoo to West Portal 2 to 3 minutes faster. And my thought was, well, was this the basically leading us up to the point where that 2 to 3 minutes is just gone, was transferring? So all this stop elimination and all this other stuff about we're going to speed up the service is not really true unless you're only going as far as West Portal.
Got it. That's a lot of things at play there. Okay. Anyone else have comment on that?
Is there anything we can do about it, Eileen, or it's set in stone?
Well, this is one why I'm bringing it up, because first of all, we've been trying to get emergency firefighting water system when they're going to dig up Taraval anyway to change out the water and sewer lines. So whatever they do in transit is, there's also the PUC side. So did we want to push, and thank you, Albert, for supporting this, that we still get, this emergency firefighting water system as a public benefit for the merchants? And also, to what extent do we really want to push for something really different? Now, last week at the what's called the County Transportation Authority, which is not the MTA, this is another city agency, or regional actually, they wanted $6 million more for the L-Taraval project, and I wrote in saying that's premature. We've got, the world has changed. What is it going to do to make the merchant corridor successful and to have good transit? And I said they should not allocate this, but that didn't work so well. So what would, I don't want to speak for the merchants. I would like to see for myself a widened sidewalk so every merchant could have an outdoor space. I'd like to see the parking restored. I think a bus is fine. If we have to transfer anyway, a bus would work. It's low floor boarding, which is better for seniors. We were never able to get them to budge on low floor light rail vehicles. And Albert, this is just kind of really thinking outside the box. What would people think? What if we only had one lane of traffic going either way, and we had full parking all up and down the street and wider sidewalks for the merchants? I'm just thinking out loud. Nobody has to give me an answer now, but I think the MTA is financially, basically, they're having extreme financial problems. Why are they doing projects, where they, so could they do something different? And it would save them money, would be better for the merchants, better for the transit riders. And the only reason they got rid of the stops is otherwise you'd have boarding islands all up and down Taraval and no parking. So there was this bizarre, reason for why they did what they did. So I would think, I personally think everything should be on the table. Whether the MTA has a new director, Ed Reskin is gone. The new director is Jeffrey Tumlin. He comes from a consultant background, so I don't know what the story is, but they don't have money. That's the thing is, and if they really want to keep a service, they need, I would hope they would want to, make some changes, but I don't know. So what does everybody think?
I think that we've all been out of the loop a little bit too long. I was part of the small business, advisory council to SFMTA, but ever since COVID hit, they haven't had a meeting. So at least 6 months we've been out of the loop. I've had a few conversations via email with Jerry Deep regarding some of the aspects on Taraval, but most of that time they were closed down. I mean, most of the businesses were shut down. So I kind of let them have free reign for a while because it was actually perfect. Let them just do all their construction. So as far as these other legislative issues and budget issues that you've just brought up, they're kind of like pulling them out from the back of the cabinet up to the front. I haven't really heard much about it since February, to be honest with you. So
well, these are plans from like 6 years ago. The process started about 2014. So these are old plans.
I understand that. It's just that I think we've all been kind of stuck in our little survival mode loop. Maybe it's time that now that things are starting to warm up and everyone's starting to get ready to go out there and work again, we have to, bring these conversations up with SFMTA, because I think, quite frankly, we have been a little bit silent with them. We haven't been talking too much.
Well, what is it going to take to revitalize? Some of the merchants on Taraval have taken a terrible hit with all, having to close down. What is it going to take that we get the merchants to give them, like Prop H? What other tools do we need to give that basically the MTA did not really listen to the merchants on what do they need to stay in business? This was a transit corridor first and foremost, and there happened to be merchants there, okay. It was like almost an afterthought, because Albert, when you say it's not just about lives, it's about livelihoods. And I think that kind of summed it up. And they completely, blew that off. No. It's transit. We are the transit authority. And they really didn't take a look at how it would impact businesses, taking away parking, putting in boarding islands. And right now, I think the merchants need more help. And they need an MTA that listens better than it has. So what about any ideas with OEWD or other things that can really revitalize them, make it better? Because this is an opportunity to really make things better, because everybody kind of got stuck in the groove. The MTA was in the groove and they don't have money right now. So what do the merchants want?
Like I said, the conversation has kind of been stemmed for the last few months. I think for myself, as leader of this group, I think I should reach out to other leaders of other corridors and kind of pick up where we left off with SFMTA. And I will reach out to some of their higher up people, such as Jeff Tumlin, such as DMs, and find out about this particular item. If you can email some of those issues like the L&K interlink, I'd like to bring that up with them. And then just...
Okay, and Edward Wright is the aide for Gordon Marr, who handles transportation?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, he is, definitely. Okay, well, I'm open to other ideas, but I want your merchants to really prosper. They've had a tough time. It's time to, turn the corner and really look at what's going to help them, not just what's going to help the transit. It can't be this one-sided, conversation.
Sure. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I will send you an email, Albert.
Please, so we can follow up on some of those particular issues. Thank you. Thank you, Eileen.
Hey, thank you, Albert. Thank you for still being here.
Okay.
I mean, it's easy, it's easy like on the Bakers of Paris to just shut down. And when I saw he was there, it looked like he was going to come back, and now there's all this paper up there, so he's not coming back, and that's really sad.
Let me make a correction on that. French Bakery, I just spoke to Ali Charis. He's the owner. He's coming back. He gave up.
Oh, yes, because originally he said he was just going to throw in the towel.
He did throw in the towel. Then I think he thought better of it because of all the money he already had. Yeah, I saw him at my store. He came by and he got some stuff, and he actually picked up some PPE, just like everybody's supposed to. And we were talking for about 20 minutes about how he's going to restart it. He's going to get a new menu. He's hired a chef. So yeah, they're coming back.
Good for him.
So that's great.
And also, thank you. I was in Copy Circle, and Raymond Ing, the owner, said you had come talk to him about, dragon printing. So he was very pleased that, someone had taken the time to come by.
It's okay. It's my job. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we've reached to the end of our meeting. Is there anyone, any announcements anyone wants to add?
I wanted to say something.
Paula, please.
Albert, have we at POPs discussed Prop F on the business tax overhaul? I'm not a business owner. Has anyone thought about whether this is good or bad for small businesses?
No.
It eliminates the payroll tax and can permanently increase gross receipts taxes for some and exempting more small businesses. But is there any thought among business owners? Have you thought about it yet?
I've breezed through some of the propositions, and the state ones I haven't even done yet. So I'm still catching up, honestly, for myself.
Has anyone else? I guess not.
I guess not at the moment. Okay. Well, our next meeting will be after the election. So, but if there's anything that anyone wants to bring up, like I can spread the word out if anyone has some issues. But other than that,
I just want to also, that 2 minutes I wanted to talk about. We had hoped to get the pro and con on Prop 22, which was put on by Uber and Lyft, to change the recent state law that said these drivers are employees instead of independent contractors. And I just want to encourage folks to not believe all the threats that the pro on 22 companies are doing, that they'll leave San Francisco if this goes through, that they'll have to hire people full time, and they won't have the flexibility, and they won't get the drivers. So your rates will really go up as people who hail the ride services. There's nothing in the statute that says they can't hire drivers part-time. They can't give them the same exact flexibility, but this way they'll pay them benefits and they'll be treated as employees instead of independent contractors. So read both sides very carefully, and don't just buy the Pro 122 campaign and believe everything they say. That's all.
Yeah, I'd like to add in really quickly, Uber and Lyft and their partners have spent $181 million statewide on this. What if they'd spent that money on their drivers instead of trying to fight this? This is really kind of outrageous. This is one of the most expensive state campaigns on record, and
it's very misleading, because they really say all these things will happen that doesn't have to happen. They're just threatening us that these things will happen.
They always do that. That's their standard MO. They always threaten, cities or whatever. That's what they've done, and they've gotten away with it for so long.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you for informing us on that. I was not aware of the 181 million. That is a surprising number for a proposition like this. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
It is. We are just about at time. We're at 8:25. If there's nothing further to add.
Question.
I have a question. Grace, Madam Vice President.
I have a question. My clients have been concerned about the no left turn closure when you're coming down Sloat and you're going east. Right on 47th Avenue, they have blocked that off. People can't turn left, but then they got to go in there and make a U-turn and turn around the neighborhoods anyway, so it's getting confusing, a little dangerous. How do we find out what that's all about? People are asking me, and I said, I don't know. I'm going to find out.
47th going east? So going up?
Okay, when you're coming off a Sloat, either coming up the Great Highway, it's closed now, or coming off the other side of the Great Highway, going down Sloat where Ocean Beach is, going down right on 47th, you can't turn left. They have blocked that off, and people are wondering why, because people are making U-turns in their neighborhood and having to go around anyway. So, I mean, would I call Jerry about that? I mean, is that part of?
So this is part of the rerouting after they close Great Highway?
Yes.
Now you can't even turn left on 47th to continue going north?
Yes, going,
North.
yeah, going north, right, it would be going north, yeah.
That
Is
sounds
that part of
great.
the slow streets where they're closing off things for pedestrians and bicycles?
I think so. They're just wondering why. And I don't travel that area too much. I come up 35, but people are asking me, so I thought I'd ask here.
Yeah, Jerry should know that.
Okay, yeah, we should.
Okay.
All right.
I can
People
add
might
to
wanna
that if
know-
you'd like.
Sorry?
I can add to that if you'd like.
Oh, yeah, please, Captain Lozada.
So that happened shortly after or during the Labor Day weekend when we had a very large influx of vehicles to a great highway because it was a very hot weekend. So MTA had made the decision to close off that left turn lane that you had talked about, Grace, on the 47th Avenue. So that's, we were just standing by for them to make further decisions on whether or not they want to continue to keep it closed or reopen. But a lot of the motivation behind it was as a traffic calming measure to dissuade people from turning into the neighborhood right off of the Great Highway. But I'm not quite sure why it's lasting as long as it is.
Yeah, and they're going further down and turning into the neighborhood anyway on 45th. So there, people are saying, why? What's the use? Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we can add your commentary to the request, Captain Lozada.
Albert,
Okay.
I just want to say something really quick on that Prop F that I mentioned that no one knew about. It is supported by Henry and Dave Heller of the merchant groups. If that's in the booklet, and if that interests anyone. And the city is planning to close Skyline Boulevard, the thing between Skyline, the Great Highway from Skyline to Slope Boulevard. This is separate from closing the Great Highway between Lincoln and Sloat. There's the Ocean Beach plan that's going to close it between Sloat and Skyline. And they have stuff on their website, and they're taking public comments right now for the next few days. If people are interested in that, they can contact me and I can let them know where they can find it.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. All right.
Albert, I have a question.
All right. Looks like we've got a lot. Yes, Corinne.
Yes, I'd like to know about the commercial insurance that the California Insurance Commissioner said that we're supposed to receive some kind of premium refund due to the COVID-19. What do you know?
Well, I can only tell you what I know as a merchant is that State Fund, my workman's comp, and also my general liability insurance from my business, and actually asked, sent me a letter and said, because of COVID-19, and were you in a business that was forced to close and so forth? So was your payroll reduced? Was your activity in your business reduced? And then if so, can you, document the days, and then they will consider, readjusting my policy premium. I did not really have to act on that because we never did close. So our payroll was maintained, our store business hours were maintained through the entire time. So I believe they sent that out to, I'm sure every insurance company sent it out to every merchant. I even got one for my car insurance. They gave me refunds because they said, well, people are just not driving their cars. I got a couple of rebate checks.
Whoa, I didn't.
I didn't either.
I got it from Allstate. Talk to Yumi across the street, Corinne.
I got
it from AAA. It was like $20 or $35 for me.
Yeah, I got like $60 or something like
Well,
that.
I'm not really concerned about the auto insurance premium, but I'm really concerned about the commercial liability.
I understand. I think you should call your insurance, your business general liability policy, and then just ask them, are you offering credits for COVID inactivity?
They said no.
Well,
They said no.
Okay.
What is the next step?
I believe there's the insurance commissioner. Yeah. Because all of my policies offered it to me. They all sent me a letter. So yours as a standalone for not offering any kind of rebates? Because of
No,
course,
not at all.
then I have to say check if it's actually required. They have to offer it first. If the insurance commissioner says that they're required, then they're just not playing by the rules, is what I'm thinking.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
All right.
Isn't she in there? The Wang insurance girl? What is her name? Sai or whatever?
In Wang.
Oh, Sin.
Yeah. Or you can contact Yumi across the street. She sells insurance.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, knock on her door. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Albert.
All right, thanks. Okay. And now I'm going to call the meeting adjourned. And